life of Jason Freiwald is a study in the power of hard work, dedication, and commitment to his career and family. Indeed, he's left an unfillable void in the lives of many, and we extend our sympathies to those who suffer his loss but treasure his memory. So for Chief Petty Officer Jason Freiwald, this is signed by myself, the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, and Senator Bill Pavlov. And I would like to present that to the family.
Thank you, Representative Roach. And if on your way out of here today, you can stop by Romeo Plank, west, 32 mile west of Romeo Plank. You'll see that bridge that got done quicker. Sometimes it's a little quicker when it's local. So I just want to remind everybody why we're here today. Jason Freiwald gave his life for his country and his brothers. I'm told through the family that after 9/11, Jason stepped up his game. Jason went through the ranks, got as high as a Navy man can get, in my opinion, and laid down his life to save his brothers. We can't be this close to 9/11 without thinking about that day and those moments that changed our country, our history, and the kids that grew up, they went on to be men and women and fought for our country and died for our country, so we were able to stand here today. So if I could ask you just a moment of silence. You can hear in the distance. That's thunder. So when they come in here, give it up for these guys, because I'm told there wasn't a spot left in that high school parking lot for these guys. So enjoy the show on the way in. They're going to be driving through the main area, so they're going to need to get past. They're 4 abreast. So we appreciate it. We'll be back in about 45 minutes. Thank you. Okay, we had a few changes because of the weather. We actually had a skydiver scheduled for today, but he would have had to drop in Ontario in order to get over to here because of the wind. And it just wasn't worth being that dangerous to get him over here. So there's a flag flying over on a plane right now that was flown at Camp David, Maryland in honor of Jason Freiwald. And the family will get that flag and the certificate as well. Right now I'm going to introduce you to Sam Preacher Man Cottle, Patriot Guard rider. He's going to give a nice prayer, and then we're going to go ahead and pull colors.
I'd like everybody to remove your cover, your cap. I'd like us to have another moment of silence, so if somebody hasn't heard me standing around you, please ask them to be quiet next to you so we can have a moment of silence for all those who have served and are missing in action. On this day we remember 9/11. It is only proper that we pause and remember the wonderful service, the great bravery and courage of all of our men and women who have served. Join me in this moment of silence now. Let us pray. God and Father, we come here today in memoriam of 9/11 to affirm our conviction that you, our great God, always care for us, whatever our ethnic, religious, or political background may be, and to honor your number one minister of your justice, the great American soldier, who will always defend our American way of life, liberty, and the pursuit of all who would threaten it. Your word says that you're the God of all comfort. You comfort us in our troubles. And on that day of 9/11, as we all were glued to our television screens, we saw the horror played out before our eyes of people's lives lost, and the amazing buildings of great structure, great strength, as they come crashing to the ground. And it seemed our American way of life had been intruded on, maybe even damaged forever. And yet, in the words of our great president at that time, he said, whether we bring our enemies to justice or justice to our enemies, justice will be done. And CPO Freiwald is one of those who stood up and said, here am I, send me. On that day, we saw the great American people stand together in New York City and Washington, D.C., as we cared for those who had fallen, gave blood, tore apart the wreckage of these great structures to find that one more living soul. The amazing stories of courage and bravery that we've heard since then. And the wonderful generation of young men and women who stood up and said, not on my watch, not in America, not on this great soil. We stand here today alongside of this great memorial that has been erected in honor of this brave warrior's great service, but also the service of everyone. The service of everyone in this community has come together to make this work, great American patriots. We know that the scriptures teach us that you are an ever-present help in the time of need. And all of us in our own way called upon you to strengthen us to be the Americans that we could be. And as our president then said, it is time, America, let's get back to our way of life and let's be strong, and we did. And here we are all these years later. Such a wonderful turnout today to honor the Freiwald family, because that's what America does. Thank you that liberty is still liberty. Justice is still justice. And in this nation, freedom will always stand. Bless the Freiwald family that are here today. Bless each of these who've come to honor, to present their honor in whatever way it is. Bless this wonderful community of Armada, Michigan, for standing up and saying, we'll do it right here. And as we always pray, may God bless America. We say this in the name of the greatest warrior who ever lived. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Thank you, Sam. Sam, an old friend of mine, drove 1,000 miles to be here today. 1,000 miles. Get Hillary Boyer to the stage, please. As we said before, there won't be flags falling from the sky. That's okay, it won't stop us. We have a flag, a backup flag, that will be presented to the family after the colors are pulled down. We have the young Marines today that will pull colors. They're out in force today, so be careful. They are Marines. The flag is flown July 4th, 2005, over Al-Assad, Iraq, by Sergeant Aaron Berger. Sergeant Berger? He's a little shy. You have to shoot at him in order to get him to talk. Get the color guard to come forward, please. It's never a zero. It's never a negative deficit with us. So we lost a parachuter. We gained something else. I won't tell you what that is. After we raise the flag and play the national anthem, we're going to have the scouts lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if the scouts could please come forward. Please. I met Hillary through the internet, through Facebook, during this process. She came up to, we were digging a hole. And that was the scariest day for us when we dug that hole and stood over that hole and realized now we have to get to work and get something done with that hole. And, I'll be quite honest with you, we're just a bunch of 5 cavemen that just wanted to do something. We weren't sure how we were going to do it. We were going to do it anyways. And Hillary came up here and sang for us because she introduced herself. And she said, I've only lived in Armada for 3 years, as if she was an outsider, but I know that being in the Marine Corps for 4 years, I had family for life. So I hope that changes today, where everybody in Armada knows everybody. So I'll give you the mic, Hillary.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of
Young Marines will now take it to half-staff.
Whoa.
Oh. I'm blind, actually. We get the scouts up here. He did it like a true gunny. Kind of looked at me like I was stupid, and then looked over at me again. That's how my gunny used to look at me. Okay, I'm putting you on the spot. Are you guys ready? Say it loud and proud. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. You can post. This started 5 months ago today. Just a couple guys that want to do something right for somebody they didn't know. I wanted to make a little change and decided to put it here so the future generations that walked over to that park would know a hero, Jason Freiwald. Our country seeks attention. They don't honor the heroes that are quiet in the dark. We have a few of those heroes here today in the crowd, and we need to remember them. And I'll be quite honest with you, I forgot about Jason Freiwald. I went to the Memorial Day parade the 2 years after he passed. And he slipped off my radar until I saw Derek Barnes doing a shirt sale so he could raise some money to send Grandpa down to go to a daddy-daughter dance with his granddaughter. Something most of us take for granted, but when you don't have a daddy, you seek out the best guy, and that's Grandpa. I'd like Derek Barnes, Jason's cousin and best friend, to come to the stage, please, and read the Seal Creed.
I'm Derek Barnes. Jason was my cousin. I spent a lot of time in Armada as a child, living it up in the country. And I had the honor of being asked to do the plaque for the memorial and be part of this from day one. In times of war or uncertainty, there is a special breed of warrior ready to answer our nation's call. A common man with uncommon desire to succeed. Forged by adversity, he stands alongside America's finest special operations forces to serve his country, the American people, and protect their way of life. I am that man. I just want to say, Dean Smith has put this thing together and really rallied the troops. He does have an uncommon desire to succeed for a normal man. I want to thank him publicly for putting this together and really bringing a community together. So, thank you.
Our first speaker, let's see if they're awake. Navy Chiefs? They're awake. Our first speaker, he's come a long way. Jerry Duma. Jerry Duma. We're going to get him up on stage here. He's seen worse than a rickety pair of stairs. Jerry Duma was a Navy sailor, World War II, Iwo Jima.
First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me here today to remember another fallen serviceman. It's a deep, deep honor. It seems that every day my memory gets worse, but I've got this speech, so I'm blessed to be still reading well. Thank you for having the patience to listen to an old man relive the time of his life that gave him the lessons of strength, dignity, patriotism, and teamwork. I'm Jerry Duma, 92 years young. I probably served in the Navy during World War II from 1944 through 1946. I served under U.S. President Polk. We had 6 major invasions, including Iwo Jima, Okinawa, and Leyte. My job was a water tender on the boilers. My rank was equivalent to sergeant first class. That was a hot job. I remember we did 4 hours on and 4 hours off. At one point, I lost so much weight, they put me on duty in the kitchen. I'm proud to say that none of that wore off, and I've never been called on duty to work in the kitchen again. During battles, my job was to drive the Landing Craft Vehicle Boat, which stands for Landing Craft Vehicle Personnel Boat, also known as a Higgins boat. Under heavy fire, I remember screaming to the commander of the landing boat, "We're under fire. What the hell do we do?" And he screamed back, "Duck." I sometimes get asked if I was scared, but the feeling comes to mind that I was not scared, but I was very, very apprehensive and very aware of what was going on. We had our jobs, and we all did our job well, but we were all watching out for each other, and we did what had to be done at the time. We learned all the jobs, such as loading, piloting, and shooting the machine guns. But I also took the most comfort in watching my friend Jack Brewer man the machine gun. He was amazing what he could do with that gun. Smitty was good with the gun too, and for me, I was good at staying alive. Jack, Smitty, and me, good friends and comrades, we were a tight-knit group. We watched out for each other and covered for each other, as well as transporting Marines to land. We picked up the wounded during the battle again. I remember screwing around, everyone doing what had to be done, assisting the medical personnel to do whatever I knew to do. Our strength was in our trust in each other to protect and defend, just like the Navy model of ready to lead, ready to follow, and never quit. And yes, I did see the flag go up on Iwo Jima. At first, I thought they were crowded and crazy and shouted, "They're idiots, they're going to be hit." But now I realize the significance of that moment. Although many thought it would mark the end of the battle, it really wasn't over. Many people later felt that it worked to spur everyone on to fight even harder. Even though I need help getting back to my seat, I want to leave you with a powerful quote from John F. Kennedy in 1963. I can imagine no more rewarding career, and any man who may be asked in a century what he did to make his life worthwhile, I think I can respond with a good deal of pride and satisfaction. I served in the United States Navy. Thank you for your sacrifice and service, Jason Freiwald. Thank you.
I don't know about you, but I'm not messing with that man. get, that's a tough, they don't make them like that anymore, do they? Tough guy. If I get Shannon Murray to come up here, he's going to read the Bronze Star that Jason Freiwald received with valor. I asked people to come up here that didn't want to come up here because they're shy and they didn't want to show off. So that's why I asked Shannon Murray. Where's Shannon Murray at? See? I didn't see the flag. I didn't see Shannon. You ready? I got it right here for you.
Bear with me, a little nervous here. Not used to speaking. Okay. For heroic achievement in connection with combat operations against enemy as a SALT team member and cross-functional team leader, Joint Task Force in direct support of Operations Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom from 11 January to 5 April 2007 and 5 October 2007 to 12 January 2008. Petty Officer Freiwald led a joint task force that executed complex combat operations in Afghanistan. He provided planning initiatives in his area of operations to restrict the enemy's freedom to maneuver and maintain a constant task force presence. On one occasion, he led his team to relieve a small outpost that was under attack by 150 enemy fighters. With complete disregard for his safety, Petty Officer Freiwald repeatedly moved to a position of open to sniper fire and machine gun fire to effectively coordinate artillery as multiple close air support bomb runs. His heroic efforts in combat leadership resulted in elimination of enemy fighters and preventing the outpost from being overrun. By his extraordinary guidance, zealous initiative, and total dedication to duty, Petty Officer Freiwald reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. Thank you.
Shannon's the commander of the AMVETS across the street. He's he's like me, he gets stuff done, but he's a little nicer about it. The AMVETS have been instrumental in getting this done. I can't thank them enough, I really can't. Our next speaker he's got his own comic book out actually, right? Is Sergeant Aaron Bartelli, who's a cavalry scout in the Army. And Aaron is relentless in keeping the fallen alive, the names alive. Aaron runs every single day. He gets every run he can get in, and he carries this big heavy flag with him. And he makes sure everybody knows not only who this man is, what his name is, but what he did and why we should miss him and why we should remember him. And Aaron Bartel is he's like a mythological creature, and he's going to speak next. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dean. I appreciate you inviting me here. My name is Aaron Bartel. I have my own nonprofit organization called Running to Honor, and what I do is I basically run races from 5Ks to half marathons to ultra marathons, full marathons. And I really just do it to keep the memory of our fallen alive. I don't want the personal attention. I'm just doing it to make sure that we keep saying their names, because as long as we keep saying their names, they're not truly gone. They're not physically here, but they're still alive as long as we speak about them. So I'll tell you a little bit about this flag that I normally carry, guide on for us military folk. And then I'll tell you about what this flag is about over here in my right hand. So this flag on the left here weighs about 10 pounds. It's red over white, and it stands for death before dishonor. I'll give blood before I surrender. It's very similar to the flag that I carried when I was in the Army as a cavalry scout, 19 Delta. And it also says never forgotten, and it's got a kneeling soldier next to a battle cross. and there's 32 different streamers on here at the top with various colors. The ones in red are Cavalry Scouts. I have one in there, Corporal Justin Pope from Riverview, Michigan. He's a Marine. I've got yellow ones here. These stand for the soldiers in the armor. They rode in tanks and up-armored vehicles. I've got ones in bright blue. They're mortarmen. I got ones in dark blue. They're Apache helicopter pilots. I have ones in green. These are ones that I didn't necessarily serve with, but I have personal connections to, and I added them on. And I have other ones in maroon, and these are support people who are mechanics and medics and truck drivers, different support personnel. So you can see we've lost a variety of people from many different jobs. You don't just necessarily have to be in the infantry or a tanker or a cavalry scout. We lost people who are support personnel as well. And then I also have these two black ones here. One of them I decided to add on Chief Petty Officer Jason Freiwald. Even though I didn't serve with him, I thought it was important that he be represented here, and I want his family to know that every time you see me carrying this flag, and I run about 30 to 40 races across the state of Michigan and other states, every time you see this flag, I want you to know that Jason's name is up there, and I'm running for him and all of our other soldiers, and I'm keeping his memory alive. I'm talking about him. I'm telling people about his memorial here in Armada and what it is that Jason did for our country. So his service and sacrifices for our country will not be forgotten. The cost of, thank you. A lot of times you hear people say, you know, freedom's not free, the cost of freedom's high. What does that really mean? The cost of freedom is over 1.3 million U.S. soldiers and sailors that have been killed in action for our country since we were formed. It's over 1.4 million soldiers that were wounded in action since we were formed. There's over 40,000 soldiers listed as missing in action. We never found their bodies. There's no closure for their families, and we won't give up on them. They're not dead. They've just not been found yet. And until we get their remains, they're still alive. There's over 55,000 homeless veterans living on the streets right now, and you don't have to give them money when you see them, but just give them your time and attention. Take time to let them know that you appreciate their service, they're not forgotten, and even maybe that kind act might lead to a brighter tomorrow for them. And we have a national average of 20 to 22 soldiers and veterans committing suicide every day, and the common misconception with that is that, oh, they must have hated life. They didn't take their life because they hated life. In most cases, they volunteered for our military. They're taking their life because they want to end the physical and or mental pain left with the after effects of war, and they battled, and then they finally got tired, and they felt that was their only option. And of course, suicide is never an option. So make sure you keep an eye on your veterans. Make sure they know that you appreciate their service and sacrifices, and that they're not forgotten. All right, I'll wrap up here. So I talked about this flag in my left hand. I've got this flag in my right hand. What I did today, there was a race in Troy, Michigan at the Whitechapel Cemetery called the Patriots Race. They lined the entire cemetery with American flags. It was a 5K. And what I did was I ran with both of these flags at the same time, one on each shoulder. And I wrote some words here in the header of the flag, which I'll read you in a second. And I also have a streamer up there. It says Chief Petty Officer Jason Freiwald, and what I want to do here in a second is I'm going to present this to his family. It's theirs to keep. That way they know that I care about Jason. Everybody that supports me knows about Jason, and that he won't be forgotten. And the last thing I'll say on that was I told over 30 different people at the race this morning about Jason. I told them about Armada. I encouraged them to come out here if they couldn't get out here today, to come out here and check out this memorial, and more importantly, to remind someone that freedom is never free. So with that being said, I'll read what the header of this says. It says, this flag was flown on September 9, 2018 in honor of U.S. Navy SEAL Chief Petty Officer Jason Freiwald at the Patriots Race at Whitechapel Cemetery located in Troy, Michigan. Jason's service and sacrifices for this country will never be forgotten. Thank you.
You hear people like him doesn't know Jason, yet his voice breaks, his voice cracks when he talks about it. That's the brotherhood right there. Next person on the stage is my BFF, Mark Zarrett. He's a local school teacher and just an incredibly positive guy, and the only one that can actually pull off a man bun. Right? So if you have one, cut it off because it looks ridiculous. He's out of it. Jason's highly decorated. That's the bottom line. He's highly decorated, and some would say he should have been even more decorated, but Jason didn't do it for the medals. He didn't do it for the fame, clearly. He didn't do it for fortune. You guys know that, right? He did it for his country. He did it for his brothers. So Jason was actually awarded the Silver Star from a battle in Afghanistan, and I will let Mark take the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you guys all for coming out today on this beautiful Sunday to show honor and adoration to somebody that deserves infinite honor and adoration. And just a great honor for the Freiwald family. Anybody that knows the Freiwald family knows they are just the most genuinely good people. And I'm just fortunate to have known them since I was a little kid. And yeah, we can't give enough, again, honor and adoration to Jason. Every day we wake up, put on our shoes and walk out to enjoy all of God's blessings, we're only able to do so because of what Jason sacrificed. Today, tomorrow, and every single day. And this is going to go far beyond today because it cannot be forgotten. It's just absolutely incredible. So thank you for being a part of this amazing day. So I am going to read the account of how Jason received the Silver Star. On the 11th of September, 2008, in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, Chief Special Warfare Operator SEAL Jason Richard Freiwald led his fire team as a part of a ground force element that executed a daring direct action mission against a heavily armed and barricaded Taliban commander's cell. Upon making entry into the compound, Chief Freiwald immediately engaged 2 enemy fighters maneuvering on his fire team, saving 2 of his teammates' lives. Seconds later, small arms and tracer fire impacted around him, once again exposing himself to the enemy. He provided cover fire while directing his fire team to clear the second story and take the high ground of the targeted building to gain the advantage against the enemy, while selflessly shielding his team from the barricaded enemy fighters. He sustained a fatal gunshot wound to the abdomen, yet continued to press the fight until his teammates gained access to the second floor. His courage under fire and selfless acts of heroism inspired his teammates facing overwhelming enemy fire to continue the fight until the target was secured. Jason gave up everything so that we can be here today. And his acts of heroism was just in there, was an inspiration to his team, but I think I can speak for all of us when it's a daily inspiration to all of us. So I'm just so thankful for that, and thank you all for coming out again.
Navy Chiefs? Oh. Our keynote speaker, I actually met him just a few months ago. They said he was a lieutenant commander, Navy SEAL. And I immediately, you think lieutenant commander, Navy SEAL, he's cocky and, arrogant and stuff like that. Most down-to-earth guy I've ever met. A great guy. He will be a great friend. That's an order. I'm a Kentucky colonel now, so I outrank you. Please welcome from the Navy SEALs, Lieutenant Commander Adam Weiner. See, once again.
Thank you, Dean. Cigars. Your heart is beating. You just finished running up to this house that you know is filled with enemy combatants. You look at the door to confirm the breach. Your breacher goes up, he sets the charge. He gets back in the train behind you. You're the first guy in the train to lead the charge to go into that house. You know the smartest, the strongest, the most competent tactical warriors are lined up, ready to follow you into harm's way. More mental security in that position doesn't exist. And even with that, the thought can creep into your head of the reality. I'm the first guy going through the door. But you disciplined your mind to push that out. You have to be present in the moment. You joined a brotherhood which prioritizes a mission for the greater good of America and by extension, the world. You get the squeeze. The boys are ready. The breach detonates. And in an instant, you step forward in drawn courage to remind yourself, I am that man. I didn't know Jason personally, but I had the great fortune to meet with his family and friends. And I heard a lot of stories about him. And you get a real good sense of him. So I feel like I know him well. And two things always jump out when I hear these stories: leadership and courage. So people tell me all the time, hey Adam, you don't look like a Navy SEAL. Thanks. You know, the most important feature, more than physical, what binds us, is our mental strength and our courage to prioritize values over our human nature. This is evident early on in our training during a period called Hell Week. It's 5 days, 5 nights, you go straight through, there's no sleeping. Now up to this point in the training, got a few weeks to learn who's in your class. And like all men, you're sizing each other up, who's in your class. You're gonna partner up with the guys you think are gonna help get you through it. And you're gonna avoid those that you don't think they're gonna be there. And you know, that cliche of the guy, the physical specimen on the cover of the Muscle and Fitness magazine, yeah, the quarterback, the state champ, the prom king, they're good guys. Those weren't the guys that were on the other side of Hell Week, though. My experience, they're the first to quit. Like the creed reads, a common man, common, with an uncommon desire to succeed, forged by adversity. Doesn't talk about all the prior awards and accolades. So Jason was a good wrestler in high school, but he wasn't a state champ. Rather, he was focused on something else, a goal to be a part of an elite group, a goal to be a Navy SEAL. Imagine, think about that. You're 16, 17 years old, and you're going to voluntarily walk into the lion's den to be a part of the toughest military training in the world and go from there. Jason chose to be out over his skis, to dare courageously, to demand the very best of himself. Maybe someone out there can relate to Jason's courage about wanting to be a part of an elite group. Now, great leaders, they don't come about randomly. They develop over time, usually by the example, following the examples of others. So I'm a young parent, I got critters, 7, 5, and a 2-year-old. And I've reached out to a much older, wiser friend of mine about this whole parenting thing, and he said, you know, Adam, more is caught than taught. And Jason didn't have to look beyond his parents to see that good example. So Jason's father, Rick, he stayed involved with his boys, and he taught them accountability. If their cars were broken, then he got under the hood with them, and they fixed it. And Rick stayed involved, so the boys were all in wrestling, so Rick would help out high school wrestling. But when that head coach position was vacated unexpectedly, and there was no replacement, Rick stepped up. Leaders step up, own a situation, and take full accountability. Jason's mom, Terry, was strict on Jason, her eldest of 4 boys. She was also willing to assume some risk and give him responsibility. When Jason was 14, Terry left him with his 3 younger brothers, 9, 6, and 5 at the time. Imagine. So Terry understands that to lead, one must learn. And to learn, one must live real life experience. Not be protected in a bubble, coddled with teddy bears. And learn to lead, Jason did, at a young age. He would go fishing at the creek that runs under 32 Mile, that now bears a sign with his name on it. And he'd take his younger brothers with him. And that was a theme with Jason, not just to do what he wanted, but to take on the responsibility to be a leader and to teach. And that's what leaders do, they teach. And Terry told me that Jason stepped up and he was that role model. And what she said next was very revealing. She said that his brothers really appreciated that. Now, as an adult, if there's a leader and they don't do a good job, it's hard to appreciate it. So as a child, there's no way. So yeah, I didn't know Jason growing up, but I know that his great leadership started long before he donned a uniform. And maybe somebody out there can relate to Jason's leadership as an older brother. Now, while there's no confusion over the great and good man Jason was, he had his missteps. As a teenager with a new driver's license, he had the misfortune of that time period overlapping first-generation caller ID. So Terry tells me the story of Jason being responsible enough, this is the key, to check in, but knowingly breaking the rules on where he was supposed to be at a certain time of night. And unbeknownst to Jason, Terry's looking at the caller ID where Jason's claiming to be somewhere where he's not. And then Terry says in that voice that only a mom can, without telling him, "Where are you?" I got chills when I heard that. So by the 3rd time of the, "Where are you?" Jason knew the gig was up. "Okay, Mom, I'm coming home." And he did. So if any of you out there have ever said, I know Dean has, it's easier to beg forgiveness than ask permission. Maybe you can relate to Jason eclipsing some known boundaries. Now, the SEAL community is small, and if you don't know somebody, the chances are good you're going to know somebody that knows that person. So a great SEAL officer I know, Clint, spent a couple of years with Jason, going through advanced training and checking into SEAL Team 5. And Clint is kind of this legend of his own right. One of the biggest guys to ever go through training. He was actually a linebacker in the NFL for a brief period of time. And Clint tells a story about Jason his mastery of carpentry. Apparently, Jason was a one-hit guy when it came to the nails, right down to the hilt, setting up targets. And then Clint said to me, you know, Jason was simply one of my favorites. So in the SEAL community, we viciously police each other, easily hand out criticism, and accolades are very hard to come by. So it's not insignificant. So as Jason's getting started, he is an elite guy already when he's checking into Team 5. He's making that reputation for himself. He was selected for sniper school, which only the most competent, mature guys are chosen for. And even with that, not everyone gets through it. Jason did. With his qualifications stacking up, combat deployments, Jason chose to try out for the most elite unit that we have. A rigorous screening process ensues that only the best of the best are chosen. And he wasn't just an operator there, he was a leader. Now, those of you who are here today, I want you to make a point of what you've learned about Jason and share this story. Because it's a story that'll never grow stale. It'll forever inspire betterment in all of us. And I hope people take the time to learn about Jason, and especially those from Armada. Take extra pride. He's one of your own. He grew up here. He worked at the Red Barn down the street from where he grew up. He fished at the creek under the 32-mile bridge. He fixed his car in his parents' garage and in their driveway. He graduated from Armada High School. I want every future baseball player or skater from that park to huddle around this memorial and not ask themselves just why this is here, but who Jason was. And if they read what it says up there, a common man with an uncommon desire to succeed. Not a coincidence. If they learn about Jason's leadership and his courage, then I hope they realize that those attributes were a steadfast anchor of his character. Immovable as this anchor in this world-class memorial. That they should learn not just about Jason the hero, but about the scrappy wrestler, the local fisherman, the makeshift mechanic, the chill out to Pink Floyd when it's time to chill and rock to Pearl Jam when it's time to rock, big brother that grew up right here and walked the very same steps that they do. And then maybe it'll hit him like a bolt of lightning that his leadership and courage was born right where they are. And while his heroism makes him seem untouchable to us, maybe we can relate to the values that were his anchor and led him to all of his greatness. And they happened right here in this wonderful town. In this way, when those kids do that, Jason's leadership will continue to serve us, this community, and our future. And his sensational life will forever inspire all who share his story and learn about him. God bless each and every one of you for being here today. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'd like to bring the crew from Wiegand's up here. Over the last 5 months, we've gotten a lot of people just giving their time and their money and their product and their money and to help to make this happen, to make the anchor happen, to make this day happen. Wiggins did the landscaping on the property. And my good friend Gary, the park guy, that's what they call him, Gary the park guy, he had some beautiful trees out here that aren't out here anymore. So we had to do a trade. So I told him we'd plant him a tree for the ones that fell over in the wind, Gary. They fell over in the wind. Yeah. So it's better to say sorry than please. So you cut a tree down and you tell them it fell over in the wind, and you tell them, oh darn, I'll get you a new one. So the Wiegans donated, as well as the landscaping here, they donated a white oak tree right here. And the significance is the wood on the stock of the anchor is white oak. And we'd like the Freiwalds to come up there and grab a shovel here and dedicate this tree to Jason as well. You know, the best part about this is the last couple hours, there's been kids playing in the background, and those kids are gonna know Jason for the rest of their lives. 5 months ago, we went around and started talking to people and asking them for their money and their help. We sometimes had to explain who Jason was because it's been 10 years. That 5-year-old is now 15, and unfortunately, Jason's sacrifice isn't an annual lesson in school, so they'll get to pass that every day when they come to the playground. I'm going to introduce you to Adam Freiwald. It's Jason's less good-looking brother. By the way, ladies, he's single.
Thanks, Dean, for the amazing introduction. This is a very emotional day for me and my family, so please excuse me if I waver during the speech. I'm not up here today to talk about Jason from the point of view of a brother in arms. I didn't have the opportunity to serve alongside him the way our other brother Eric did. I was still in military training on my own journey toward becoming a valued member of the military as well when I received the news about Jason. Instead, I'll be talking about Jason in the aspect of an older brother, one of the people that had the greatest influence over me while growing up along with my parents. Jason was the kind of person that walked the walk. When people say actions speak louder than words, he was a prime example of that.
If anyone ever told him he couldn't do something, he would go to the ends of the earth to show them why they were wrong. Once he set his sights on something, there was no stopping him from achieving that goal, no matter how much work or sacrifice it required. Being a sibling of someone with that mindset and work ethic also made me want to push myself harder, and I wasn't alone. My brothers Eric and Jeremy and I were always inspired, even from a young age, by the things that Jason did. Jason was a wrestler all through high school, and all three of us followed in his footsteps and became wrestlers ourselves. There were other aspects of our lives that we kind of followed in his footsteps as well. We all kind of went into different construction paths after he was a carpenter. We followed into some of the other sports that he played, baseball being probably the main one. Jason was accepted into Michigan State University to pursue a college degree right after his high school graduation. But he decided that he wanted to become a Navy SEAL bad enough that he would not put it off or get thrown off that goal. And so he began training hard that summer with a laser-like focus on being prepared when he entered the military, and thus began his journey toward becoming one of the greatest modern-day warriors on the planet. I didn't get to spend much time with or even see Jason for a good part of my high school years, as he was new to the teams, completing various training pipelines in schools, and was stationed on the West Coast. So I had taken a few different trips out there to visit him in my early 20s. I have some great and very distinct memories from each one, and it was never a dull moment during any of those visits. He always knew how to live life to the fullest. Day trips down to Mexico, surfing different areas of Southern California, extravagant New Year's Eve parties in downtown San Diego with many of his friends from the teams. One trip that will always be a lasting memory for me is the time that I flew in and the two of us completely remodeled his condo at the time at Imperial Beach. We built a brand new deck off the back, completely rewired his place. It was a pretty good job in a week, and we would do that kind of during the day, maybe have a couple drinks while we were doing it, and then he would take me out to different parts of San Diego, and we'd go have a good time after working hard all day. Another time during the summer, my brother Eric and I wanted to go visit Jason out there, and we were living here in Michigan at the time at our parents' house. And we couldn't afford the cost of last-minute airline tickets. So in the matter of about an hour, we gathered up all our clothes and whatever else we needed and threw them into garbage bags, and just kind of hopped into my Saturn that I had at the time and drove all the way out to San Diego. I could go on for hours with detailed stories of memorable and exciting things that happened when us brothers all got together, but my time is kind of limited up here. The last time I saw Jason in person was when he and his team were training in somewhere in Arizona. He stopped by to visit our buddy Brian and I when we were living down in Tucson and working in the area in Arizona. We ended up getting to take turns in a free fall wind tunnel out there together, which was my first time getting to experience that, and to do it with him, where he had a lot of experience, and it was cool watching him kind of do his thing in there and kind of give us some tips and show us how to do it. So that's a memory I'll never forget for the rest of my life. That was pretty amazing. Jason had done a multitude of deployments with various teams in different areas of the world. He was a highly decorated SEAL with a great reputation throughout the SEAL community. He accomplished and experienced more in a short life than most people do in an entire lifetime. He was a family man with his wife Stacy and a fairly new father to his young daughter Jasmine, who he loved very much when he left on that last deployment. I believe that heroes are the people who do what has to be done when it needs to be done, regardless of the consequences or perceived rewards. If that description doesn't fit Jason's actions, then I don't know what does. I want to thank everyone who came out today to make this such an amazing and positive event. I cannot believe the turnout, and I cannot believe how amazing this memorial is. Special thanks to the people who worked tirelessly over the past few months, 4 or 5, to make this memorial so beautiful, and all the contractors that came together from the community. It's amazing to see how much this community came together, as well as surrounding communities as well. Special thanks to Dean Smith for organizing everything. Yeah, very, very solid job, very solid guy. I had just met him probably about a month ago, and the guy's character just speaks volumes. My brothers, Eric and Jeremy, couldn't make it today. They had obligations with their jobs, unfortunately, but they will always have this memorial to come and see when they have the opportunity. And I also want to thank my parents for everything that they've kind of input they've put into this, and everything they've had to kind of sacrifice as well for this event to come together very well. Again, thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank you, Adam. You know, it's amazing how humble the family is, and when we started out doing this, you know, they said don't build a memorial because the Freiwalds will be mad at me. So I'm like, I don't know them, so they can be mad at me. So, but you know, a lot of the cities around Michigan have problems with their water. I think something's going on in Armada when you birth 2 SEALs and another guy, and it's a corpsman and physician assistant, ladies, physician assistant. And a doctor. I forgot about the doctor, but that's parenting done right there. So, and we all know that, you know, I can speak for myself. Growing up, my mom used to yell at my friends for doing something wrong because she was their parent as well, and I got to hear stories about Terry getting phone calls where their kids were miles away doing something and they got in trouble by somebody else, and that's the community coming together and helping raise those kids as well. So you guys all should take credit as well, because that's incredible. I actually wanted to invite somebody up stage. I'm a little. I guess Gene Fitzel-Parsley, are you here? And your little friends? Is she here? There we go. And can I get some of the Freiwald family kids up here? Adam spoke of Jasmine and Stacy. As much as they wanted to be here today, Jasmine wanted to be in Arlington to visit her daddy. And who could blame her? So Jasmine will always, and Stacy will always have this place to come to and think about their dad. think about life. I've come here a couple times and bumped into Rick and Terry just standing in front of this, all alone in the park with their arms around each other. So that's worth it right there. I'm missing something here. Yeah? No. Has anybody seen bags of butterflies? I hope they're said they're in the food tent. I hope that's not true. It's been a little overwhelming. You get messages every day, text messages every day, phone calls. What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And a lady called me up and said, "Hey, I don't know if it's a proper term, but I farm butterflies." And she wanted to release some butterflies. They did it for April Millsap, and God bless her soul. And they wanted to do this for Jason. I just hope they're strong flyers today, because it could be and apparently there's butterfly bags. I've never seen those at Target. You want to do that over there? I can totally skip You want to do it at right by the anchor. No, just the kids. Uh-oh. That can't be good. Right over by the garden. There we go. Here's a show off. During the process of the build, we've had a lot of weird stuff happen. Jason moments. A butterfly was hanging around the shop while Derek Barnes, his cousin, was making the sign there. And then we brought the sign out to fit. He brought it back, and the butterfly landed on his finger. The same butterfly with the beat-up wing landed on his finger. We've had a couple frogs visit us here, which was really crazy. And I can only imagine the Frogman's anthem. And my friend Tom Jenkins stole a sign from one of your yards, took it out to Chicago. Yeah, and there was a cardinal sitting on it. And there's a little saying that if a cardinal shows up, it's somebody visiting you. So I wanted to read this real quick before I introduce Kurt Adams as well. I got a little backwards on the thing, and I forgot Kurt Adams. I wanted to read you this, Freiwald's. This comes with the flag from Camp David you'll receive later, that was supposed to be dropping out of the sky. Marine Security Company Presidential Retreat, Camp David, with World War II security concerns regarding the presidential yacht USS Potomac. President Roosevelt established Camp David in 1942 as Shangri-La. President Eisenhower renamed the compound Camp David after his grandson David Eisenhower. For over 70 years, Camp David has held a very special relationship with its surrounding hosts, Catoctin Mountain Park, which is nestled in the woods of Maryland in the eastern rampart of the picturesque Appalachian Mountains. The natural appearance of Camp David has changed little since its construction. The cabins are rustic board and batter construction, painted in moss green hue. The native woods have been maintained wherever possible, and with every effort made to maintain the natural beauty of Camp David and retain the flavor of outdoors. This environment has provided an ideal setting for productive discussions between United States presidents and several foreign leaders, including the planning of Normandy invasion, the Eisenhower-Khrushchev meetings, the Camp David Accords with Israel and Egypt, the discussion of the Bay of Pigs, Vietnam War discussions, and the 38th G8 Summit, and many other meetings with foreign dignitaries and guests. It has also served as one of the last bastions of true privacy and relaxation for the President and First Family. This certifies that this flag was flown over the Presidential Retreat Camp David on the 14th day of August 2018 in honor of Jason R. Freiwald. Thank you for your loyal service and dedicated service to the United States of America. Francisco J. Vega, Major, United States Marine Corps. Camp David is a Navy base. Right, Navy Chiefs? That's right. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Kurt Adams. Kurt Adams is going to tell you about himself and what he does, and he's a civilian. And he was our only civilian speaker, because Kurt Adams goes above and beyond to take care of guys that serve and first responders, because he's one of those guys that feels it's important, and he dedicates a lot of time to make sure they're taken care of. Thank you.
Try not to blow away here. My name is Kurt Adams. I'm a father, husband, and a civilian. I've known Dean Smith since 2012. While he's physically large, his heart and his compassion dwarf his physique. What a guy. I'd like to thank Dean for inviting me to speak and for being a friend. I'd like to thank the family and friends of Chief Petty Officer Jason Freiwald for allowing this honor to take place. This is quite a setup, and I really want to thank everybody for coming. This is amazing looking out at all the people who have come to honor that local resident, and I certainly appreciate it, and I'm sure a lot of other people do too. Thank you for the veterans here and elsewhere that have done things that most of us are unwilling and or unable to do. I'd also like to thank my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Turner. I'll tell you about her in a few minutes. As I learned of Chief Petty Officer Freiwald and the type of man he was, and quite honestly, the things we've heard today, one quote stands out from Captain Scott Moore, who is the commanding officer of the Naval Special Warfare Development Group. And I quote, "They died while taking the fight to the enemy going in harm's way with selflessness that resonated in their character and made them giants among men. It is clear to me that Chief Petty Officer Freiwald was a man of action who boldly moved in assertive ways. His legacy should be one that inspires men and women to act similarly. Like many of you, I draw my inspiration from multiple sources. I mentioned my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Turner. I value the early but vital teachings that I learned and still try to employ every day. To be kind, to share, to say please and thank you, and to perform good deeds. Today, we are all here to cement the legacy of Chief Petty Officer Freiwald for future generations to be inspired and to act. The request I make of you today is to act with a kind heart and a compassionate spirit. I ask you to think of your kindergarten teacher, as I often do, and simply do good things. Remember the warriors that returned from battle with wounds that you can see, but also know there are warriors among us with wounds that aren't as obvious. These veterans struggle with pain that is so overwhelming that sometimes the only perceived option is self-destruction. No one should have to deal with pain that is so intense and demons so fierce. This is my request. Find a veterans service organization that is worthy and support it with your time and possibly monetary donations. As Dean mentioned, I'm the race director of the Veterans Memorial 150. It is a 150-mile foot race that is held annually over Memorial Day weekend from Ludington to Bay City, Michigan. We raise funds for veterans service organizations that are worthy. And we're not shy about our motivations. We aim to assist the organizations with raising operational funds to raise awareness of PTSD, but also to put on a great event. So if you're moved to act, find us, contact us, and get involved as a sponsor, donor, or as a runner. I'd like to ask you to volunteer in some way. I'll leave you simply by asking you to be bold, to inspire, and to do good things. Do one today. Thank you very much.
I'm going to ask any of the Freiwalds that would like to come up and speak. We actually have, over the course of the last couple of months, we've had a lot of people just want to do something for you, want to give you something, draw a picture, sing a song, and some of those things are here today. So you don't have to speak, but if you'd like to come up, and we'll have these people bring those items to you. It's been a rough couple months. Sometimes when you do stuff like that, you're tearing scabs off an old wound, but the family gets to rest knowing that he's not going to be forgotten, and that says a lot more.
Okay, sorry about that. That was a little unexpected. Terry and I would just like to thank all these guys that organized the memorial and spent the last 5 months of their lives totally immersed in the construction of the project. Just think about that for a minute. How many of you can completely shut your life down pretty much for 5 months? And these guys have families, jobs, hobbies, and other interests, and every time me and Terry came out here, these guys were here working. I mean, for that entire 5 months. It's pretty astounding. Terry and I can't thank them enough. They will always have a special place in our hearts. And to their families, thank you for understanding. The list of the guys that put all the time in were Paul Sykes, Andy Stryker, Derek Barnes, Bill Garvin, and Dean Smith. We'd like to have Dean come up, and we have a little presentation for him.
Dean didn't know our family, and he didn't know Jason, but he has been the most amazing person I've ever met. To dedicate so much to someone he didn't know. He led this project, he found the anchor, brought it over, and guided everybody to do this, and we are so honored. We want to present him with this wall hanging of a flag that was made by a family friend.
It's not necessary.
Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
And I'd like to add, we've lived in Armada going on almost 40 years. We are so blessed and honored by so many people. I'm just truly, truly amazed. We can't thank you enough for coming out today and being here for us and to honor our son. Thank you. We'll never forget this.
Hi everybody, my name's Chris Freiwald. Jason was my older cousin. I was one of the only Freiwalds that grew up over on the West Coast in California, and I didn't prepare anything, but I wanted to share with you guys that it's absolutely moving and astonishing that this community shows up like this. You guys all have something really to be proud of. This does not exist everywhere, so cherish it and be proud of it. And thank you all for coming out here.
When we started this, we were gonna dig a hole in Gary's Park at night. We're gonna pour cement in Gary's Park at night. We're gonna wrap it in plywood and put DTE high voltage to hide it. We really had it all planned out. We are not the kind of guys to ask permission. Ask Macomb County Roads Division. we also said, hey, this is what's going to cost us. That's it, and we cut it off. We actually upset a lot of people because we wouldn't take their money. And then I got a phone call. We got these shirts, these cool Freiwald shirts, and I said, hey, we're going to sell these at cost because I want 10,000 of them gone. So everybody in this area, we've even had Grand Rapids people caught wearing Freiwald shirts last week. I wanted that to happen, and Terry got a phone call because she, when I met her, she wanted to bridge. She just wanted to bridge or a road or something to be dedicated to herself, to her son, for the 10th year anniversary. So we opened it up when we were really not going to do all this. But like Dave Lucia, we call him Big Daddy around here. Where's Big Daddy at? There he is. Look at him. When Dave Lucia sat on a picnic table over here when we were pouring concrete one day, and his eyes were glazed over. And he said, the cool thing about this is that, you know, a couple guys started it, but the town took it from us. And they really did. And we had an outpouring of support, and we made it bigger than maybe Jason would have appreciated being. But tough. He's not here to fight me right now, so I'm going to deal with it. Because as humble as he was, and as humble as his family was, if we don't celebrate guys like Jason and his brothers have done so much, then we're lost. We are absolutely lost. I'd like to tell you that my Marine buddies put that tent up. I made a comment 3 hours ago. You guys kept the president safe, but you can't put a tent up. That's right. It is still standing. So with the help of the entire community and outside communities, Burrville, Richmond, all the other communities, we were able to, one, raise funds for this and give Mom her dream, give Mom what she wanted. Representative Europe was here earlier. He's the one who signed the bill to get the mile from 31 to 32 on Van Dyke Expressway dedicated to Jason Freiwald. He said it has to go through and get passed as an actual law. He said so he's not making any promises. But I will promise you that whatever happens, there'll be signs out on that road. And this check is a cartoon check, but it's a promise for the $3,000 the state requires to have a freeway dedicated for a hero. And that's, we are well above that. And I would be absolutely remiss. I had the honor of, the sad honor of discovering that you guys, Armada actually lost another person that put his life on the line. Marine was going after recon training, and he was killed in training. Is Iron Mike's mom here? Get Iron Mike's family up here. I call him Iron Mike because I can't pronounce your last name. Get the family up here. You know, you'll hear special, units like the SEALs and whatnot having a small unit and their own family, their own community. And a good friend, John Ellsworth, lost his son in Iraq. He was an EOD tech, and before the bomb went off, he knew it was going to go off, and they shielded the blast with his body to save 8 guys behind him. John Ellsworth once told me that everybody's, as far as the Gold Star family, everybody's proud to be in the club, but nobody wants to be in the club. And they really look out for each other, and just unbelievable debt paid. The loss is incredible, and you'll never feel it, and hopefully things like this will make them smile a little bit more. That's all we can do. But just know, Armada, that you have more than one hero in this town. You know, when I came in here, I was like, oh, it's a farm town, so it's not really a military town. I was wrong. You know, go visit the cemetery. You'll see heroes in that cemetery as well. But don't forget those people. So right now, I'd like to ask anybody that had something for the Freiwalds to come forward. Sarah. You know, the great thing too is nobody wants to come forward and say anything because they're embarrassed and they don't want the spotlight or whatnot. And like I told Shannon Murray when he came on my BFF Mark Zarrett, where you at, Mark Zarrett? He came on his podcast. He's like, no, I don't want to be on the podcast. And I said, well, listen, those little kids that do lemonade stands you see on Fox News because somebody's house burnt down or the kid has cancer next door and they want to raise money to help that kid, that comes from something. It doesn't just come out of your system. They see something. They see somebody else doing a good deed. So I like to embarrass people and to show on other people that it's okay to do a good deed. I went to high school with Sarah. I think I've known her since, junior high, Sarah? She obviously looks better than I turned out, so. She's the only one, though. She had a plaque from her friend, and they used it based on the label of the hometown hero wine from Sage Creek. Is there a certificate with it? Yeah, I want to read it. There's a certificate with this flag. I don't know if I'm allowed to say where it's from, huh? It's in a Marine Corps. It's written in crayon. Hoorah. The flag of the United States of America. This is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the U.S. Consulate in Frankfurt, Germany on August 25th, 2018. On behalf of the United States Marine Detachment, you must be sleeping. At the U.S. Consulate, Frankfurt, Germany, this flag is presented to Chief Petty Officer Jason Richard Freiwald in recognition for your outstanding support to the United States Navy and a grateful nation. Yes. Yep. It's funny, I go over Rick's house and watch some of the videos. Jason and things like that when he was a kid and things like that, and he's got a display just like a Marine. We call them I Love Me walls, but they turn into I Love Me rooms and then I Love Me houses. But he's got a display of all the stuff from Jason and his sons, and the pride is incredible. And the one thing, he had a Navy K-bar with inscribed Navy K-bar, and he said that somebody had some dinner bid $1,000 on it and was outbidding everybody else, and he really wanted the K-bar, and the guy paid the $1,000 for it and walked over and gave it to Rick, and that's what impressed him the most. That was incredible.
I just had a couple important pieces of paper here. Yeah, I think we're good there. So I just wanted to hand out these pieces of paper. I think everybody knows what they are and how important they are to the Freiwald family. The Declaration of Independence. To Dean Smith for everything he did, the Bill of Rights, and to my father over there, the Federalist Papers. And so I'm just going to hand these out, and I really appreciate that. Dean, for everything you did and giving my daughter an opportunity to sing a song. Yeah, thank you.
You guys get a little treat in a little bit. We met them at, thank you. We met them at the fair. We were out there with Jason's anchor. So, telling a musical guy what to do with the microphone. I think we have some, I can't tell you who this guy is, because he's way too humble and way too secretive, but he's got a battle flag for the family. And it's not folded up pretty. It's stuffed in a camouflage pouch, because those camouflage pouches get stuffed in a vest or a pocket when they go kill bad guys, so we can be safe.
Captain with the Patriot Guard Riders. I've been asked to present this little token from the Warriors Tap House in Virginia Beach to the family, just to let them know that they are being thought of on this day.
Plaque we'd like to present to Mrs. Freiwald, and on behalf of a grateful America and the Patriot Guard Riders, please accept our sincere condolences on your tragic loss. May your pain be tempered by the knowledge that Chief Petty Officer Jason Richard Freiwald, United States Navy SEAL, Silver Star, Bronze Star with Valor, and Purple Heart recipient, is a true American hero. Patriot Guard Riders, standing for those who stood for us.
And then Dean says, go up there and give a prayer. It's always a good time to pray, isn't it? Let's pray. Thank you, Father, for each of these organizations that have come today to honor these great families. As we've met Iron Mike's family today, we honor him and each of those who've given it of their lives, whether in peacetime or wartime, served in this great nation, stood that line that said to our enemies, don't mess with us, we're the United States of America. Thank you for everybody that's a part of this. Thank you for how everything's come together. Please help me pray a long enough prayer and help Dean to do what's right next. Amen. And I didn't pray long enough, evidently. So, when have you ever known a preacher that can't pray long enough? Thank you for your wonderful representation of all the organizations that's here today. I want everybody to give each other a good hand for being here, because look at this. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is America. Yeah, this is America. This is what we're all about.
Is Tammy Kolakovic here? Kolakovic. Do you have that? Do you have the...
Tammy's not here.
She's not here. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. The family received a locket. Tammy and her work put together a locket with engraved locket for Jasmine, with pictures of her family on it when she was a little baby. So, thank you for that. If we could get the young Marines. I apologize about that. I had a phone call from a pilot. Yeah. He was scared. Get the couple young Marines up front. We're going to kick this off. Is my bagpiper ready? My bagpiper got air in his lungs. Good to go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize, we're way ahead of schedule and we had something, the weather is definitely taking a toll on the schedule, so. Yep. We're going to go ahead and lay a wreath at Jason's. Rachel?
Lay me down in the cold, cold ground where before many more have gone many more have gone. When they come, I will stand my ground, stand my ground. I'll not be afraid. Thoughts of home take away my fear. Sweat and blood hide my veil of tears. Once a year, say a prayer for me. Close your eyes and remember me. Nevermore shall I see the sun, for I fell to a German's gun. Lay me down in the cold, cold ground, where before many more have gone. Lay me down in the cold, cold ground, where before many more have gone. Where before many more have gone.
March on the colors. You could take a look behind you if you could clear a spot for the colors.
At the half step. Column left. March. Left. Left, right, squad. Halt. Right, face. Dress right, dress. Eyes front. Left, right. Squad. Halt. Left. Face. Forward. Arms. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Present arms. Order, arms. Parade, rest.
Thank you for everybody for coming. We had a flyover scheduled, and one of the passengers was Frank Johnson. He was a 93-year-old paratrooper from World War II. And he was supposed to be in a Flying Fortress B-17 flying over right now, but unfortunately because the weather was canceled and safety reasons. I can't thank everybody enough for coming out. I can't thank everybody enough for what you've done for us. We're going to have a young lady sing a song real quick. And after that, I'd like to give a couple things away. And then after that, I would really like the town to squeeze in real tight behind us so we can get a nice picture. And maybe a video of everybody saying "Hoo-yah" for Jason. Hosts. retire the colors. If I could have Derek Barnes, Paul Sykes, Bill Garvin, Andy Stryker up here. See if they're still awake. Navy Chiefs?
Navy Pride!
Oh, they're slow. They're slow. Also, I want to thank Selfridge. There's a lot of rules out there, what they can do and what they can do now. The rules were a little bent today, and that's good because those guys want to honor their brother. Because Jason, even though they didn't serve with Jason, that's their brother, and a lot of guys from men and women from Selfridge came out on the ground and in the air to make sure that salute to Jason happened. Those are good guys. And unfortunately, just because you're not in war doesn't mean you can't sacrifice either. We know that from Iron Mike. He went in there with all his heart, and he was taken from us. So remember that just because that's not happening and they're not in a war zone doesn't mean they can't die in training. They put their lives on the line just like anybody else. So, all right, these 4 miscreants help me. Let's say they put up with me for the last 5 months. They're probably going to one of them already got a new phone number, I'll be honest with you. So I just wanted to make sure that they all got their shovel because we have some more to give out as well. You guys want to grab one? A lot of everybody's got jobs. We all have jobs. We work till 5 or 8 or 9 or 10, and then we came here at night until the sun set. A lot of texting back and forth, a little bit of arguing, but we got the job done because it was the right thing to do. I want to thank the Burville Lions, the Armada Lions. I know I haven't given to Armada. Is there an Armada Lion here? We'll get it to them. Charlie Rawlings, the Rawlings Family Farm, big help. Darren Krause, Krause Veterinarian, if your dog gets sick, God forbid. Orchard Construction, Crown Construction, Harmon Construction. Some of these are already given shovels to. The list is long. Armada AMVETS and the Ladies Auxiliary, I can't say enough about them. They're just incredible people, and not all AMVETS and not all VFWs are alike. They have heart. Where's my shooting buddy Gary at? Where's Gary? Gary, quote the park guy, Gary. Come on over here, Gary. We need to know what your name, how do you spell your name, and go tell is D silent? What's on? What? That's not even close to spelling Gettle. Sir, I'm sorry. Give him a shovel. Come on up here, Gary. Yeah. There you go, man. We ruined your park. Gary, so how it worked was, we went into the office and Camille was, hey, looking at me like when I said, hey, I'm going to build a memorial. And she's like, oh, yeah, okay, go away. And then I called her back and she's like, well, you got to talk to, you're serious about this? Yeah, I'm serious about this. I'm digging a hole. She goes, we got to talk to Gary. He's in charge of the park. So I'll tell you that Gary's been 100% behind this project from day one. He does a lot of stuff on his own time, I've noticed, because we're almost BFFs, we're Facebook friends. So right? He does a lot of good in his community, and he's put up with a lot of hassle from us, and I appreciate it. I really do. You do a lot for the family, and a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Monica Job, Pitbull, where you at? Come on up here. Don't talk politics with Monica. When we talk Corporal Al Oper, our bugler, we said we can't, those two can't meet because they're both on other sides of the spectrum. So we can't introduce those two. Just know that you're both good people. Wiegans, we wanted to take care of you as well. We wanted to, where's Camille? Where's my Wiegand folk? Camille? You had to, I'm gonna give him a show. Yeah. Oh, hi, Donna. Camille was the first person I talked to, so I appreciate you taking one of these back to the Township Hall and displaying it properly. Hopefully not in the bathroom. No more fighting. Brian O'Rocky, I don't know where he's at. He's got luscious hair. There he is. Look at that hair. Got a lot of hair things going on here with the man buns and the long hair. Brian, every chance he got, he came and helped us out. Look at that. Right? You're like watching you're looking at a 1984 paperback in the grocery store right now. He's single too, ladies. And Shannon Murray. I know we already gave one to the AMVETs, but Shannon Murray, like I said, I describe him as the same person as me, only, well, people like him. So he walks into offices and gets things done without being such a jerk and jerk about it. So where's Shannon Murray at? And I gotta tell you, the one guy that stands out in my mind out of all this, everybody's done a lot. Everybody's come up here. We've come up here and we actually gained weight doing this stuff because people come by with pizzas, subs, and things like that. And we give them to the skater kids. That's why the population of skateboarders have doubled here, because they think there's free food. But Big Daddy, Dave Lucia, I mean, stand up, Dave. That guy has had his entire family out here days and days and days on end. We poured this concrete. I came out here at noon. He was already out here in the morning, and we didn't leave until 10. So Dave has put his money where his mouth is. He's poured all this, sacrificed business, family, work, time, and he's just kind of been our moral compass through the whole thing, making sure we're on the right track, because he knows the Freiwalds pretty well. And I'm glad to know you, Dave. I really appreciate it. And finally, I'd like to take a minute to thank Rick and Terry and the Freiwald family, because they kept thanking me like I was doing something for them, and they did a lot for me. They really did. They changed my life. I'm glad I met you, unfortunately, under these circumstances, but I still am glad I met you. So things happen for a reason. Where's Matt Dudley at? Where's Matt Dudley? He's got his drone out or something? Want to know if we can get everybody behind this thing so we can get a nice picture without knocking the speakers or anything over. If we get a nice picture of the entire community with the Freiwald shirts in front. Is that possible? Don't be shy. Oh, and we have tons of food back here from the Ladies Auxiliary. If you would please come, because I will be eating food in 5 minutes. So I'm fat. Yeah, everybody. Don't be afraid to get up on there. We'll get some kids in here too. You ready to chew it up? Awesome. Ready to chew it up? Hey, I really want to thank Bill Lynn. I sent, everybody asked me what the video was this morning, the live video. Bill Lynn bought this bell, built the bell, built a display for it. Unfortunately, Bill got into a motorcycle accident about a week and a half ago, and he really messed himself up. He's going to be in aftercare for about 6 months, and he couldn't be here today, and he's really angry about it. So he did a lot of good for it, and he's an AMVET, and we just love him. So Semper Fi. Where's Rick and Terry? Can we get Rick and Terry out front?
We won't be there this week. You have to wait till next week.
He's 17 this week. It's for grant scholarships or something. Oh! I totally forgot. Come on up here. So we walk among superstars. I know this isn't Hollywood, but we got a Hollywood star here. It's Frank the Tank. I don't know his last name, and I don't want to know his last name. But this kid right here, he took a picture out at the fair, and people fell in love. He is single. He's retired. So he's got money, ladies. But I want to thank Frank the Tank. Frank was actually supposed to grab the flag from the parachuter and run it out, but you didn't get to do that. What'd you get to do today? You got to mess around with some fire trucks, right? That was pretty cool. Right? You never flew. All right, yes, man. Stand here, okay? He's also been seen on Fox 2 News, right? All right, we got this, okay? So everybody come over this way, and then face that way. Does that got video on it? Does it have audio as well? Who's flying it there? You're so scary. Yeah, is it one of ours? All right, we're gonna give him a hoo-yah on 3, okay? 1, 2, 3. Hoo-yah! Let's see if we got that. 1, 2, 3. That was almost better. I'm gonna do it one more time. Where's the chief set? They leave already? There it is. 1, 2, 3. Nice. Thank you, everybody.